long enough, I'll be sitting in the garden with a beer. I don't know how many people have been to a fuck up night before. Well, I've already started fucking up. So again, it's in over 300 cities around the globe. In the UK, I think in the past 6 months to a year, more people have joined. So Newcastle's been going for over 2 years. There's one in Edinburgh, one in Glasgow, one in Manchester and Reading and York, and hopefully more and more nights. As JP will tell you, we've done it live, shall we say, in Ampersand's building, and it was a great vibe in the green room to fill that up, and then everyone to go to the bar afterwards. And basically the night is for people just to connect in an uncorporate way, listen to speakers telling their stories in an uncorporate way, but also to take some learning from it. Hopefully the stories are also entertaining and probably touched with a little dark humour. And what's told is probably what's not in the theory books. This is the reality. So this is the first online one, so it'd be good to see how it goes. As I said, 3 speakers, but I'm going to have a couple of shout outs. So if I can actually get it to work. I don't think Paul's here yet. So I'll leave it to JP and see if the video works.
Orbis gives a very unique organic support system for businesses. We like to just give stability and give a true sense of place, and then to grow from that in their own time, to feel confident, and then to go anywhere that they want.
It's just kind of given me the space to actually understand what I want to do with the business and understand what I want to do actually with my life. This is the main reason that I'm still in Newcastle. They help you beyond just giving you the space, because business doesn't exist in a vacuum, and it's all about all the other activities that you do around it. Raise your profile, educate, hopefully inspire as well. They've been really supportive of that.
There's so many different parts of the community that fit in here, and we just say, how can we work together?
Self-employment can be very lonely, and it does give you that feeling that you're a part of something. The diversity of the building is one of the really nice things about it.
It's about that melting pot of mixing so many different groups of people and seeing how the magic is created from that and can then go further. Anybody from different communities, different abilities, different levels, different ages can connect with so many different parts of this building and feel a sense of place. This building is the heart of the community, which serves the true community.
So I'll hand over to JP to explain a little bit more.
So, hi everybody, I'm John Paul Cavan. I'm one of the directors. Paul, above me at the minute, is Paul Stone. He's also a director, and Chris Yates is also a director. So essentially, this is the first time we've done this, and obviously everyone can understand the pandemic and the horribleness. I mean, unfortunately, we've had some of our directors directly affected by that, with losing much loved ones and things like this. So the reason what we're going to try and do for the fundraiser is essentially there's not a lot of people that know about our building, because we're, funny enough, like these that were talking earlier, we're kind of working away inside, helping communities grow, and we've kind of reached a point just before lockdown that we were going to do more forward facing about the building. So for taking Fuck Up Nights exactly, is we do that on the 4th floor on Ampersand, and it's fantastic to kind of get people to come in that they wouldn't normally be in, to then just by chance go to the fashion lab or go to different places or go to different floors. So I've added in the links the Orbis.1, the Save Our Community. If you haven't been in, certainly have a look. What we are saying is just that if you can donate, or if you just know people that we can connect with to kind of build our community or to make it stronger, then certainly get in touch with either myself, Chris or Paul, and I'll add the links in there. And just to say thank you for Mark for spending time putting this together, So hopefully it should be really nice. And we've got some amazing speakers and things like this. So I'm not going to bore you for ages, but the link's there. And the only other link I've put right at the top, which looks like a really dodgy link, the SoundCloud, is music by Charlie Isaac and Jen's brother Michael O'Neill, who's kind of helped with that. So what we're really going to focus on in the build when we're back is having more pop-up events, having more events which have the heart and that magic is what the Fuckup nights do on our floor. So hopefully when we all meet next time, we can all share a drink and kind of celebrate kind of back to normality, whatever that is. So anyway, I'll sign off. So thank you very much.
No, thank you, JP.
Mark, sorry to interrupt. Can I put my LEP hat on and make a suggestion?
You can.
So John Paul and others, are you aware of the crowdfund Northeast LEP program?
I am actually. Jamie Driscoll, who obviously, you know, was on the floor throughout his campaign and things, he actually put that through. At the minute now, unfortunately, with the whole building, we've only just got stable now for information for structure, because there's a lot of internal things that we're really panicked with. So I've actually been talking to Paul recently about that. So we will be getting, we'll be putting something together. We just didn't want to kind of start it, and you know, it's just, I'm trying to be diplomatic. Running a building is awful, and it's kind of like this pressure we're under with this building. For there's so many things that have to still be bought, still have to be paid for, that take our full attention. So at the minute now, to be honest, I mean, myself and Paul have been just run ragged doing things, and we've now got to a point where I think Jamie gave it to us a couple of days ago. So we're certainly in talks now, because we weren't sure whether we were allowed to do that crowdfunder on top of the crowdfunder that we're already doing with Just Giving. So actually it's great that you're here, because I didn't want to kind of start another one if that's what we weren't allowed to do, because we've never done this before.
Okay, so yeah, okay, so take it offline, but I'm justin.suter@anylep.co.uk.
Yeah.
So drop me a line and I can connect you with the right people.
Fantastic.
Well, Justin, you can use the chat in here to send a message with your details on.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, okay, cool. Thanks. Good idea. Thanks.
Right. So next up, if Paul's around. No, wrong one.
That's me.
Good looking man. Paul, are you online? Paul Lancaster?
Yeah, he's muted. He'll unmute himself.
Hello, how are you doing?
Hello. Would you like to explain a little bit about this week's Startup Week?
I will do. I'm sure most people have heard of Newcastle Startup Week, but they probably only know of it as the physical event, which should have been happening this week, which obviously isn't. So 2 weeks ago, I didn't think that we were going to be doing anything. I didn't know how I was going to do, but we've had to pivot and we've taken it all online. So this week we've been running it all through we've got a private Facebook group, and we've currently got just under 290 people in there. So people have been buying tickets for just this week's event, and we've been live streaming, and we've been sharing some pre-recorded videos that have been exclusively created just for this week. But it's actually working really well, and despite us being separate, it's actually quite intimate. It's quite nice bringing people together in this way, and there is a really strong community spirit that's carried forward into the Facebook group. So the other good thing about the Facebook group is, well, even though the videos and the presentations have already taken place, people can go back and watch them on playback as well. So if anyone wants to join, tickets are just £5. You can join anytime, and all the videos are in there, and we'd love to see you in there if you want to.
No, brilliant. And again, to everyone involved, if you want to message individuals, you can do it privately on here or to everyone. So if Paul wants to put the details up on the messenger, then that might be an easy way of doing it.
Cheers. Thank you.
Right. And next up, and I've got to say, I don't say I dislike this man. I envy this man. I've seen him first on the telly, then I heard him on the radio, then I've seen him comparing, and then just to add to it, I sit and watch him do art online just to. So, Alfie Joey, thank you very much, because I know that you've got to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go and do your breakfast show. So, I don't know if you're freestyling or do you have some slides or not, Alfie?
No slides, just me, sadly.
Right.
Hello, guys. Right, well, thanks very much for asking me. You say you envy me. I envy your world. I look at your world and think, when I grow up, I want to be you. Because you guys do something that is just almost still alien to me. I've become, I've entered the business world by accident, really. I'm an ex-trainee priest who then became a monk. I think Paddy McAloon had a bit of a seminary background as well, which he'll probably talk about, or he might not. But anyway, I had a long seminary background, then a monastery background, and I thought that's all I was ever going to do. And then I ended up leaving, protracted story. But anyway, I left and became a comedian. And by nature of that, I didn't realize, but I was self-employed and running my own business, which I stumbled into all kinds of problems because I was an artist through and through, and I still live like an artist, and all of the problems I have and all of the fuck-ups I make are due to my artistic brain and where I come from sort of mentally. So I've basically isolated one specific repeated problem that I make time and again, and I'm trying not to make it. Steve Davis, the great snooker player, said, it's all right to miss a shot, just don't keep missing the same shot over and over again. And this is one of the mistakes I tend to make over and over again. I say yes to everything, which can be a good thing. I'm like the TSB, I just go, yeah, I'll do that, and it leads to lots of different experiences. Unfortunately, it means sometimes you end up spreading yourself far too thin. And you mentioned all those different things I do, and that means basically I'm a jack of all trades and master of none, really. But I've got a great life. It's very varied. It's always very interesting. But almost you get too scattered, and you get pulled here and you get pulled there, and you're not nailing any one thing. And another consequence of that is you can be absolutely chaotic. And that's what's happened to me. So I'm going to tell you a story. I repeated this 2 years in a row around Christmas time, which is when it gets particularly busy, because that's the time of year when I'm usually doing Christmas gigs. The radio gets very busy. We've got more stories to cover. We've got more interviews. We've got more radio events to go out and host. I've usually got loads of awards to present around that time of year. And it's just extremely busy, and there are Christmas light switch-ons to compare, business awards galore. So it's an exciting time, but it always ends up running away with itself. The last 2 years, I wasn't just overbooked, I was triple booked. So I'll take you back 2 years. I was booked to do the PR awards in the Biscuit Factory. It's a great gig full of PR people. The last time I did the PR awards, very strange, very quickly, because very often at these gigs, they have a Twitter ball and they have a big screen where you can send tweets and you can photograph people at your table. And because it was the PR awards, I said, well, let's get this trending. Well, they're ignorant as anything, the PR people. They're all at the table. Normally you're having to make awkward conversation, not the PR people. They're down on the phones and they're hitting Twitter and it's getting it all trending. Anyway, because I was the host for the event, somebody comes up to me and says, can you ask them to stop using the hashtag? And I said, why? They said, we've been hacked by ISIS. And I said, what? And ISIS apparently do this from time to time. They'll just sort of hone in on someone who's trending somewhere and just hijack it. So we had to stop using it. But anyway, I'd hosted these awards for several years, absolutely loved it. Comes to the day of the event, and I realized I not just had another gig where I was on the poster and I was doing a double act with my double act pal in a room above a pub to about 20 people, but I promised to do it. And not only that, I had a family event. It was the Saltwell Park. They have a lights thing at Christmas where there's all these little artistic installations. And that was a family event. And I had to make the decision which gig I was going to do. And I ended up thinking, well, me poster, me face is on the poster for the double act gig above the pub. I'm not getting any money for it. I can't go with my family, so I've let them down. They had a ticket, they paid for the ticket, and I let the PR people down, so I couldn't go to that. Fast forward a year, I think I'm not going to let that happen again. Everything snowballs again, same time of year, and what happens around the same time, I triple book again. I've got the South Shields lights switch on. The heady days, I've got to introduce East 17 onto the stage. Who I didn't know who they were anyway. But anyway, I love South Shields. I love the people of South Shields. I love South Tyneside Council. I also had agreed to babysit that night for my own kids. With my wife was going out to see a cousin in a band he's a very successful musician. Doesn't get to gig here much. And the other decision was the Business Awards on North Tyneside, which I'd never hosted before, and I was on the poster for that. So I think when you're on the poster for an event, like I am here, you're expected to turn up, you've committed to turn up. I'd committed to turn up for the other things as well, but I had to let 2 other people down, and one of those groups was my own family. So New Year, I thought, that's it. Let's not do that anymore, because you upset too many people. You're in danger of getting sacked, losing work. And I used to use that argument. It's just who I am. I'm a bit chaotic. I'm a bit mad. So this year, I've just tried a few systems. I've tried to channel all of my information that comes to me via the Hotmail, get that activated more, because of all the different things I do. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm the moderator at the station for things like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So I've got to be on all of those platforms because it's what I do. But it means I get requests left, right and centre. I don't really work through an agent as such. I've got a pal who looks after the odd gig, but generally I do everything myself. And that is something I should try and let go of, maybe look at having an agent again. When I just did stand-up comedy, I had an agent who did everything, and he was absolutely brilliant, and it took away all of that worry. I gave him 15% of everything I earned, and it was money well spent. He was brilliant. When I got the job at the radio, I thought, I don't need an agent. Just sat in a chair talking. And now I'm at the stage where probably, I don't know, maybe I need some kind of manager. Anyway, this year I pledged to try and manage myself a little bit more responsibly and not make the same mistakes over and over again. Luckily, this year, well, not luckily, I think my strategy has paid off, and I think you do need a strategy. I'll give you a little example. When I was a kid, my mum was quite good at drawing a horse. And I remember, I've got kids now, and she came round, and I thought, oh, my mum's good at drawing a horse. I said, draw the kids the horse. So she drew them a horse, and it's exactly the same horse that she drew when we were kids. And it's amazing that that horse hasn't changed one iota. And not doing me mum down, it's quite a good horse, but it's never improved, and she's never changed it, and she's never adapted it or anything. So I've drawn you a little frog here. I don't know if you can see that. It's a frog. That's the same crap frog I've drawn since I was a kid. And I'm now, as was mentioned in the intro, doing artwork. I've got a gallery wall, and I can draw a lot better than that, but that's the same frog I do. If I do a conference or if I do something where I'm leading a group, a good exercise I get people to do is I get everyone to draw a frog on a post-it note, and we put it up on a big gallery wall of frogs, and we play the gallery music from Vision On or Take Heart, and everyone has a bit of a giggle and a chuckle, and I then say, right, now draw one again, but better, and be a bit more interesting. So I'll do it for you now. So I draw on the same frog over and over again. So if I just give that frog a cigar and a funny look in his eye. I give him a bowler hat. Suddenly, you've got a more interesting frog. I could finish that later on, but you get the idea. I've put him in a polar neck jumper. He's folding his arms. He's doing something a bit more interesting. Therefore, anyone can get a little bit better at anything. There's no excuse for repeating the same mistake over and over again, which is what I was doing. And I think that's what I want to share with you tonight. I suppose, don't repeat the same mistake. I'm learning this with my art. The way I'm improving, I've found in the last year or so, is to not do the same mistake in a picture. And don't do the same mistake on the radio. Don't do the same mistake at a gig. Just try and tweak what you do, improve what you do. And I think that's how to correct your sort of patterns and just be a little bit more focused, I suppose. I still run away from the stuff that's not arty. These are still things I've got to work on. I still hate doing things like accounts. I leave everything to the last minute. I don't open the right envelopes. All of those things artists hate, I traditionally hate. And it's a big weakness. And I need to work on that. I need to get better at that. I don't know if anyone's got any tips on that, but I know you've got to get those sort of things sorted because it helps you be a better artist in the long term. So there you are. That's my little share with you tonight. I hope that was okay.
No, that was absolutely fantastic. And again, I appreciate your time. There's one of the questions was, we couldn't see the frog with the cigar and the bowling hat. Could you show it, please?
Sorry. I'll share it another time. I'll share it on my Facebook tomorrow.
No, so again, I mean, if there's no other questions, I mean, mine was, it's been interesting, the fact as you do so many things, is what is your actual passion? What actually brings you joy in everything that you do?
I think it is what led to all those mistakes, really. I think it's a love of the variety and the mix. I think I just absolutely love small projects. I love moving on to a new project, trying something new and keeping variety in what I do. So as all of those things you mentioned, they all float me boat. I absolutely love doing all of those things. So I want to carry on doing as many of them as I can and introducing new ones as well where I can. But that's where you've just got to watch it, time manage. I'm passionate about almost everything I do.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if you get them at 3 o'clock in the morning, no wonder you can fit a lot of things in.
That's, yeah. Well, I used to get up at 3 when I started at 5, so I could do an hour of drawing before I started on the radio. But now, because of this pandemic, I'm having to do a longer show and do the show on my own. And I've got to say, because of the material we're covering and because of the people I'm interviewing, and so today I had the chief executive of Gateshead Council on talking about school closures. You jump from one subject to the next. I've got no co-presenter. I'm driving the desk myself. So it's never taken it out of my brain like it has now. I come home and my head's in a fog for about 2 hours. But it's exhilarating at the same time. But it means I can't draw any pictures beforehand. So I've got to literally get in at 4 o'clock, 4:15, to get everything in the show, to look at what's in the show. And even then, I go on air at 6 and things are changing round, and I'll get to 7 o'clock and my producer will say in my ear, we're not doing that now. Just find something else. Talk about something else till we find what's next. And you got to make it up. So you got to be sharp. You can't. That's why I can't cheat on sleep and stuff like that. That's the only secret there. Go to bed early, and you'll feel better in the morning. But yeah, it's a great job. It's a privilege at the minute.
No, as I say, I mean, I've seen you in various, I don't know, guises is the right word. So, and then the other question I would ask, the fact is you've got a family as well, is how would you fit in the work-life balance with the amount of things that you do, and a lot of it in unsociable hours?
Well, first of all, I think I'm dead lucky because I do the breakfast show. I get to pick the kids up every day. So I see them at the school gate when there's hardly any other dads there. So I have my tea with them. I make the tea very often. And I see them in the evenings before I go out, if I'm going out. If not, I'm going to bed roughly at the same time as them, a little bit after they've gone to bed. Also, I must admit, although I like art, I do it in the house. I sometimes do it with them. And also, I don't have any really sort of self-indulgent, time-consuming hobbies. I haven't got a season ticket. I don't play golf. I don't drink. I don't go to the pub. I'm dead boring. So I do spend a lot of time with the kids. It seems, I think, because I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, it looks like I'm this whirlwind, but I'm very often reposting content from another platform, and it seems I'm a lot busier than I am. People always say that to me.
No, so hats off to you, because that's why I'm so jealous. You're always on one platform or another, or one sort of medium or another, and it's I sit there thinking I'm the same age as you, thinking, what the hell have I done with my life? So so if no one else has any more questions, again, thank you, Alfie, for your time. Again, it's a pleasure, because one of the things that always seems to get me is people love the idea of Fuckup nights, but the amount of people are like, oh no, don't mention my name alongside Fuckup nights. So the fact is you're on the BBC and you're quite happy to be on Fuckup nights. Thank you very much. It's,
No, listen. And also, because, you know, people come to me occasionally, they should come to me a lot more to get stories out there. Because and I mean this to everybody who's watching now, but let's talk about that building on the radio and let's highlight it. And, you know, come on as a guest. Any of you, you know, have got a story to tell. That's what I'm there for. You know, it's not just about the Chronicle and the Journal and the Sunderland Echo are great, but hey, we've got tens of thousands of listeners, you know, compared to how many people buy a newspaper. Come on the radio, tell us your stories. I want to get these stories out there.
I heard when you said about the radio, I actually, without realising what it was, I was helping my friend with Spice FM, and this would be about 10, 15 years ago, whatever. And I'm not interested in sports whatsoever, but I was the sports advisor, and I just made it up. So I actually, when you're saying about material, people don't realise that, like, you know, talking online and things like this, you can't have even a second or 2 seconds. So I went from the most random things, you know, to do with sports. So then it became, I didn't realise. I just thought nobody was listening, you know, I was just helping my friend. But then loads of taxi drivers from Fenham would hear my voice and go, you're the sporty guy. And I was known as the sporty guy, and I don't even watch football or anything, but I was given highlights on the Olympics. And then remember when the BMX Olympics was a thing? So I was given highlights on the BMX Olympics. So I must say, you know, I've been really famous online and things like this. So if you ask him to come again, I'll do it. But I know it's not a simple job. And I think this is why, you know, with Tuss Park, with Paul and stuff like this, there is a lot of different places that happen in the city that, you know, they're doing it with, when you're saying about passion, you know, we all display passion in a different way. I display it in kind of never shutting up. But you're right, and I think the Northeast is full of people who are passionate about what they do. What would be great is almost like a clean slate kind of almost platform that we could all join together, because the one thing that I've seen personally with Newcastle as a whole is how many amazing people from so many different walks of life can just connect. So I think that would be a plus thing. I mean, I know Paul, the other director there, is sitting silently, but it would be great to kind of get a voice, because this is great, we're doing a Zoom and things like this, but I'm on the phone to nearly 600 people from that building who are really, really struggling, who don't want to kind of express that they're struggling. So, you know, I'll mention to this, like tonight, and it really does ignite other people. So it'd be great to kind of hook up with you. Yeah,
please do. Please do. We'd love to have you on, and it's, you know, buildings like that matter to the city, and to not the people are part of the building. That's what breathes life into it. So yeah, we love telling stories like that.
Fantastic.
You know. So again, thanks, Alfie.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much for asking me.
So thank you. So next up is Natalie, who I saw speak at Startup Summit in Edinburgh. So she's basically a woman in tech, but she's also an American who's in lockdown in Edinburgh. So I'll hand across to you, Natalie.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Mark, and thank you so much, Newcastle, for having me. It's great to see some familiar faces. Hi, Paul. Hi, Justin. And nice to be with your community in a virtual sense. But I'm not in Edinburgh. It's important to say I am in Fife. There's a very clear distinction there. So it's a pleasure to talk with you guys today about speaking on fuck-ups, because this is something that is really kind of close to my heart as working in tech. But just kind of to give you the little background about what I do. I am the Chief Community Officer of Startup Boost, which is a pre-accelerator program that is based in Los Angeles, but we have different chapters all over the world, and also a global platform, and maybe soon coming to the Northeast. Stay tuned. But I've been in tech for a number of years, and I'm incredibly passionate about supporting early stage founders working on tech businesses. That is everything I do. That is what gets me up in the morning, eat, sleep, breathe, technology companies all across Europe. But how I got into this, if I'm trying to move the slide forward. Yeah, so if we can, Mark, can you just control the slides for me? Because I'm having a hard time doing that. So how I got into this is I don't have a background in technology at all. I'm a sociologist, and I came from San Diego, California, which is the lovely picture there on the left, to Europe for my PhD to study the social practices of entrepreneurship. So basically things like what we're doing here. Why is it important to talk about failure? Why is it important to kind of these practices like paying it forward, community building? How does that look like in practice? That's what I came to Europe to study. And for my PhD, and to research how people were working and connecting and growing businesses in different geographies. So I came over in 2016. I had no network. I knew no one. I moved straight to Berlin, and I started building my network and connecting with as many people as I could. And that research led me to over 27 different countries, talking and interviewing founders, and really trying to understand what if we can, I'm having a hard time with this. Yeah, it's kind of, this is just a quick depiction of that, but really trying to understand what are the pain points founders are experiencing in different geographies. What are some of the institutions that help them succeed? What are some of the things that kind of take them to the next level? And how do communities support their work? How do these social ties and social capital being exchanged in different communities, how does that help them succeed? And really kind of just making building my own network on my own, and kind of going through that process of not knowing anyone to kind of seeing how that works and really understanding it from the founder's perspective. So really gaining a lot of empathy for that struggle, all the challenges that you face as an early stage tech founder, especially the whole you don't know what you don't know kind of thing. That's what I was learning firsthand by putting myself in these different communities, spending months away from home, didn't see my family for weeks on end, and really getting to know as many people and what their experience was like. And what as I was doing this work, I was beginning to make a name for myself. People were recognizing me for what I was the story I was being able to tell about the early stage entrepreneurship process. So people started to recognize that, and I started going to events, and soon I was getting asked to speak at a lot of events, and really to share my research and to share the insights that I had learned. And then different governments started getting in touch with me, and they said, hey, Natalie, we'd really like to learn how to build better conditions for startups in our cities. You've been researching this. You've been on the ground in all these different places. What are some of the things that you've learned? So I was working with governments in different cities, and all the way from city of Cologne and in Dublin, Ireland, all the way to the European Commission. I still work with them today, really trying to help them work with their founders better. But along the way, I was getting known for this work. I got in touch with a media company, and they asked me if I could collaborate and freelance for them. At this point, I had been out in the field for 2 years. I had run out of money. I couldn't keep traveling. So I thought, this might be a really good opportunity for me. I'll work for them part-time. I'll finish my research, and then I'll go on in academia and see where that takes me. But I kind of got stuck in working for this company. And I was really proud at being asked to come on board. But over time, they were asking me to do more and more different things for them. And I was just really proud to be associated with them. So I kept saying yes to everything. And I realized, I can really make a difference for all these founders that I've got to meet, and I can really share their stories and use this platform. But I wasn't getting paid for any of that. They just kept asking me to do things, and I was like, I want to keep this relationship going. I think this is really good. I was only being paid for some of the research projects that I was doing. But people over time began to associate me with this brand and no longer with the research that I had come to Europe to do. And it really kind of came to a head here at the Web Summit, where I had done a research project. I'm having such a hard time with this Zoom controls. Sorry about that. It really kind of came to a head at the Web Summit. So, of course, a very big event in Lisbon where I put together a huge report for a number of different stakeholders, and I wasn't the one presenting it. My report was no longer associated with me. Essentially, I was white labeled. My own research was associated with a brand and with an entity, and no longer attributed to me. And this should have been a sign as I was watching my work being presented without me being associated with it on this huge stage. It should have been a sign to me that, something has gone off the track. But it wasn't. I was kind of blinded by the fact that, I'm getting all these really wonderful opportunities, that so many people want to collaborate with me. And over time, it kind of became clear, people aren't interested in working with me. They're interested in working with the brand, and they associate me with the brand, and no longer with my research. And over time, I put my PhD on hold. I didn't see the sign. This relationship that I thought was a good mutual fit, that was going to support my advancement, my research. I wasn't seeing it. I had kind of lost my way, and kind of really speaking to the earlier point that Alfie was making, I had spread myself too thin. I had taken on way too many opportunities, and I was no longer helping support my own story and putting myself first. And it took a really long time for me to really get to that, to come to that conclusion. There was all these different signs, but I was comfortable being behind the big brand. I was no longer working on my own brand, and I was no longer being associated for the work that I had come to do. And even worse, I wasn't even being paid for it. But everyone kind of assumed that, she's doing all these really wonderful things. It must be really a great thing, what she gets to do, all these prestigious different opportunities. But I had kind of lost my way. It was no longer about me. And it took a while, literally months, after it should have, but I finally came to the conclusion that you have to take care of yourself first and put yourself ahead of any sort of entity or organization that you might be connected with, and really try to recognize the differences and where you end and where the organization begins. I was at an event, and I kind of really had almost a panic attack, realizing, you know, here I am again. I spent another weekend working for someone else for really not getting a lot in return, put my whole life on hold to be part of this. And there was no way forward. And then earlier this year, I finally kind of made the opportunity to make a break with that organization and really come back to what is most important to me, which is supporting early stage founders. And that was how I got involved with Startup Boost. And slowly over time, we've created this organization that can help founders in a lot of different places. And this is the thing, I've been to a lot of fuck up nights, and most of the time they're about, you know, here's how I had a failure, but I turned it into a great epic win. Mine, it's not an epic win. I'm still working on these things. And I think the really important takeaway is to know your worth. You can perpetuate your own oppression by not standing up for yourself. So really try to recognize that and see in yourself where you can really make a difference. And if this is the right way to go, create those boundaries. And I think in startups and the startup ecosystem, something I learned from my research is that, you know, social practice is about giving first, paying it forward. Provide value first, but not at a cost to yourself. I see a lot of community builders all around that have kind of burnt out by kind of giving too much of themselves and spreading themselves too thin. So create boundaries, and you provide the most value to others if you put yourself first. And if you help yourself, then you're able to provide more value to those in your community. And then also, don't be afraid to ask for help. I really was fortunate to have some people around me that really were recognizing, hey, this can't go on. This is not sustainable. This isn't what you came here to do, and you are no longer doing it. You need to turn this train around. And instead of building something for someone else that's going to get you nowhere, you need to be building something for yourself. And also to recognize that this is part of a community. In tech, it doesn't work in a vacuum. There's a lot of people that are behind initiatives like this one. Mark is a perfect example of that, putting on things for everyone else. So be kind, be thankful for those efforts and those people that are putting themselves forward to create opportunities like this, and to learn from those experiences and to take that away. And so thanks so much. I'm sorry I went over time here, but please connect with me on Twitter or LinkedIn if you want to learn more about Startup Boost, learn more about the research I've done and my story. Really think you have a wonderful community in the Northeast, and I really love getting to know the folks that are working there and creating a really nice institutions to support startups and entrepreneurship, and really making the community more effective and supportive for one another. So hopefully I didn't rush too much, but thanks so much for listening.
No, does anyone have any questions for Natalie? If you want to unmute and ask a question, or send one in the messenger. Well, while we're waiting for see if there is any questions, the one I'd like to ask, because you have traveled so much, do entrepreneurs the world over make the same mistakes, or are there regional or cultural differences in the mistakes that are made?
So that's kind of a question that I get a lot. And what I always think is one of the most surprising outcomes of my work is that founders, no matter where they are, actually have more in common with one another than they have different. So right now I'm working a lot with some founders in Zambia, building up their ecosystem there. And the types of challenges they're facing, how they think about entrepreneurship, their heroes, those success stories, they're the same ones that you have. They are the ones that they're thinking about building products in the same way. They're thinking about acquiring customers in the same way. They actually might have more in common with you than they have with maybe people in their community. And I think finding those areas where you actually share more than you have different. And the one area where it is very different is because you have a community that's not there to support you. So if you have an ecosystem that is very transactional, that kind of is pay for play, that is not open with sharing their network, that is keeping kind of all the success for the few and not the many. And in small ecosystems, oftentimes, or ones that are not mature, you have that happening, where you don't have a lot of success stories locally and kind of aspirational figures, and you don't have those to establish those social practices of generosity, of being open to share failure. You don't have that in some of those places. And that's where if you don't have someone to be the catalyst to make that change, you don't necessarily have, those practices never get started. So you can be in a place that it might on the surface look very successful. You'll see kind of scraping the surface a little bit that the social capital is not being exchanged. People are making events just for invite-only lists. And I only realized that the longer I was in the ecosystem, that some of the things that I had access to over time, I never would have had access to them earlier when I was a complete unknown. And that's one of the things that holds startup communities back, is when things are transactional, when things are kept within in-group networks. And you create barriers for newcomers, for founders that might not have all the connections, that are on the outside. And that's something that we've really tried to change with our organization. And hopefully we can kind of break those walls down in certain places. But really happy to chat, and I'm happy to get connected. And please reach out to me, and I'm an open book and have a lot to say. So if there's something interesting, don't be shy to reach out.
Again, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. There's no questions at the moment, but
sure.
I would ask people to take the opportunity to send you a message while this is on. But what I'll do afterwards, tomorrow, I'll send out a little newsletter with everyone's contact details on, just as a refresher. So again, thank you very much, Natalie.
Thank you.
Oh, who is that man?
Sorry, Mark, I'm only going to say, do we do virtual claps at the end of it? Because I always feel like you finish talking, Natalie, and then it's horrible because you're waiting for someone to say something. Is there an etiquette of Zoom where you kind of do virtual? So it's because it's really hard to see people and then not respond. So I know.
Yeah, and I have this dual screen thing going on. So there's I have like all these windows open trying to keep organized. But I see your comments and I see you on there, and thanks for all the nice things everyone's saying. Appreciate that, and I'm really happy to share my failure. It's not an epic win, and that's life. Sometimes it is a fail. So.
No, again,
great. Thank you so much.
Yes. So apparently you can do virtual claps. So I'd like to hand over to Martin, if he's alive and kicking. Unmute yourself.
Is that why I was enjoying it so much? I couldn't hear myself. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everybody. You've got the slides there, haven't you, Mark?
Yeah. I mean, do you want the remote control or not?
No, I think it's. Oh, the cat's just walked in. Hello, hello. I've got a little cat here. I'll not try and pick her up. You can do the slides if you want. What do I have to do the slides?
Right, I'll just.
I've got that little button down the bottom.
Yeah, I'll just share with you.
All right. Well, I mean, essentially, I'll get myself comfortable. Sorry there. Hey, how we doing? Is everybody all right? I was asked to do this by Mark. I've done one of these before, a Fuckup night. I think I did probably the first one. And he's asked me back. And I spent all day. I'd say that today's Fuckup was that I spent all day in the in the dark doing your slides and presentation whilst it was so lovely outside. But just a quick word about why we are here tonight, and that is because we're trying to raise some money for Orbis and for the building. And the Building Commercial Union House hosts over 350 different businesses and creative startups, in which I'm one of them, or I could be 3 of them. I don't really know. I'm just there. I'm kind of an organism within the building, and I do whatever happens. And so, yes, so there's a crowdfunder being run by JP and Paul from Vane over at the on the crowdfunding site. So if you can go there and donate, that would be fantastic. We're very close to the target, so a little bit extra would be wonderful. And so, yes, so a quick word about, so that was that. So welcome to Fuckup Night. I've got the garden door open, so I'd imagine that all the kids are outside listening intently in the gardens next door for advice. But to be perfectly honest, you only learn anything from your own failures. And as the government aren't admitting to any failures at the moment, I don't believe in fuck-ups either. I think everything I'm going to do is perfectly okay. First slide, Mark. Go on, do the next one. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay. First slide, or the next slide rather.
Yeah.
Okay. Fuck-ups are not fuck-ups. I don't believe in them. I think fuck-ups deliver direct knowledge. When you do something, you learn from it. If you learn from somebody else's mistakes, I don't think that's ever really appropriate. I don't think it ever really happens. I think fuck-ups provide empirical evidence in your research. You've got something to fall back on. You know for yourself that it hasn't worked, so to do something else instead, and recalibrates the compass. I think they shed light on the righteous path through life. So yes, so that's what I would say. Don't worry about fuck-ups. It's all part of it. Fuck-ups usually, it's all a matter of perspective. Try the next slide. Next slide, Mark. Yeah. Hold on. There's a whole bunch of slides gone missing here, Mark.
Have I?
Yeah, I think go back 2. I think. Hold on. Go back. Oh, this was all right. Go forward. You mustn't be there. Okay. All right. Okay. It seems like every other slide's gone. Never mind. Just go back. Just turn them off. Just stick them off. Doesn't matter.
Are you sure?
Yeah. This was replying to that. That's okay. Just leave it where it is, right? That was, go back to that one. There you go. And next one. There you go. 9% of the art market on sales, online sales, right? I was listening to a podcast today about the art market, right? And they were complaining. They were saying that the art market, there's been a real problem because everything is sort of real world, the galleries, everything like that, all had to close down. And all of a sudden, they've all had to go online. And they were looking at the music industry as a paragon of brilliance and getting forward and getting on board. And they were saying that 9% of the art market is 9% of the art market sales are based on online sales, whereas 80% of music industry's online sales. That's where the online sales for music industry are. But the art market, that 9% is of 64 billion. Whereas our 80% is of what was 20 billion. The music industry was 20 billion. It went down to 10 billion because it was decimated by digital download sales and record reality, real ones, physical copies being fucked over, basically. So their idea of success is the music industry, whereas the reality is the music industry have fucked up big time. So it's all a matter of perspective, where you are in it. So I kind of see everything that I do and everything that I've been involved with as being, it's relative, and there aren't really fuck-ups. You do things and then you move on and you learn from it. It's like trying to, the only way you see highlights in a painting is by adding the darkness to them. The darker it is, the brighter the highlights will be. So yes, so I don't really believe that much in fuck-ups. I just think it's all part of life. Next slide. Let's see where that takes us.
To hell and back.
We probably will. I feel like I'm there already. Yeah. I don't know where that fits in anymore. We must also subscribe to Uncommon Sense. I can't even remember writing that, but never mind. That must have been when I was on me mescaline beforehand, or the absinthe, something like that. I must have been on there. Okay, so my background, I've spoken of these things before, and I don't want to bore you with my background, but briefly, I was in a band, and then I wasn't in a band, and then I've done other stuff, and I've been an artist, and I'm not going to go on about it because I wouldn't want to bore you with it. But we were successful in that we sold 8 million albums at between 10 and 15 quid a shot. So that's a lot of product and a lot of sales and a lot of income from that. But compared to people like George Michael, it's not really. So in terms of, are we successful to somebody who's on the street? We probably do look successful, but where we are, we didn't think we were ever successful compared to someone like Prince or George Michael. And you never actually fully, that's why I'm saying that fuck up and success, it's nonsense. It's just an unraveling and it's a virtual growing of the story, and you don't know. And what you see as successful, other people won't. I still don't know what that slide's about. Okay.
Next one.
Okay. Stay where you are. Stay where you are. Right. If we believe in common sense, we must also believe in uncommon sense. Basically, people give you advice, and that's usually common sense. But every time I've ever done anything, I don't think I've always done it, but I found myself doing the things that weren't accepted. And what I'm saying is basically, just do that. Don't worry about it. I think the thing within the band, the thing that we always wanted to do was we wanted to please ourselves. If you please yourself, you achieve something. Then after that, let the market find you. Don't go chasing the fucking market. The market will find you. So the idea is, if you do something and you're really pleased with it and you're 100% satisfied, then therefore, if one person likes it, you increase what you've succeeded in by 100%. And then another person likes it, that's 200% increase in what you've done. And that's how we always treated our work. We made the records that we wanted to make, that we'd like. And then if somebody else found it, they would like it. It was kind of, that was our judgment was, do we like it? Are we proud of this? And in 20 years' time, are we still proud of it? And you kind of go, yep. And that's why it still stands up today. Fashions come and go. If you try and jump on the market, you'll become fashionable for 5 minutes and then you'll be unfashionable for a lifetime. We were never fashionable. That's why I can walk around with what looks like a fucking great white mask on. I bumped into my wife in the street the other day and she says, why are you wearing that big mask? I thought, I've grown it for this virus. I'm wrapping this thing around my fucking head. But, I don't fucking care. Just do what you want to do. And I think that's the thing about doing art. Do what you want to do. The fucking market will catch up with you. You find, you grow the market as well as you grow on the thing. So, try not to worry about, all this fuck up stuff. It's all a matter of perspective. You may think I'm a genius, but I know I'm really just an ordinary guy. Anyway, listen, this is like talking in a vacuum. I know Natalie said beforehand that we can't work in a vacuum. I think I could fucking live in a vacuum. I can't hear myself scream in a vacuum. It's like being in space. I'm talking to pictures. I've got Paul over there. Paul Lancaster's over there. Hi, Paul. Right, I can only see 4 people at a time as well, and one of them is me. And I'm illuminated. I don't know what to do to make myself see more people. I don't even know whether there's any more people there. I can only see Mark, JP, and anyway. Oh, here's some common sense. If it's not on canvas, it's not art. That was one of the things. people like colour, and people buy things that can hang above the fireplace. Okay, so that's common sense, right? So some of the things. Okay, so I've got another computer beside me and I'm scrolling through them so I can read at the same time, right? Because I've got no memory left, like random access being, it's all gone. So yeah, what am I gonna do here? Okay, all right, I was told these things, drawings on paper. I was told the drawings on paper aren't art. And if it's not on canvas, it's not art. So go to the next drawing. Go on, do the next one. There you go. Okay, so I was told don't do black and white drawings. People don't like black and white drawings. They want to see colour on canvas. So I did 365 drawings because I wanted to. I needed to. And the common sense would be do what people want to buy. And I kind of do what I want to do. And hopefully at some point I will find the market for it. Do the next one. Okay, so this one is a portrait of the head of BP. He was the CEO of BP at the time of the Deepwater Horizon disaster. Now, I did it in crude oil, right? So the common sense would be don't work with crude oil, but I couldn't stop myself from getting a pile of crude oil, painting people to enter into the BP Portrait Prize. This sponsor, BP, the oil company, sponsor portrait awards, right? So I did it so that I would be rejected. It was a success because it got rejected for being defamatory about the guy who runs fucking BP. I thought, why not? Next slide. This is all part of common sense. This person is a fentanyl addict, and he was a news item, and I painted him 3 times. People said they wanted colour and something that they could hang above the fireplace. So I thought, if you lived in Alnwick Castle and you had 3 fireplaces that were about 15 metres wide, I did something for their mantelpieces. So it's 3 metres wide, 1.5 metres in height, and I've done 3 of them. I've done a triptych of this fella, so that you really, the common sense would be if it was that size, perhaps I'd stick it above me. You know, I could print a black and white T-shirt on him and call him Alan Shearer, and you know, it could fit along your thing. But I had to do something on a large scale that nobody would want, but everybody would see. And I entered it into the Royal Academy show, and it got turned down because they are sponsored by the Sackler family, who make fentanyl. Okay, so, and I felt elated at the idea that they turned this painting down. But the thing was that they accepted the one of the oil guy. So next year I'm going to send this one to the fucking BP award and see what they do there. So yeah, it's like, it's all relative. It's about, so I kind of, that's what thrills me. The art of it is in pissing myself off in a way. It's like you kind of do things just because you can, and everybody else is telling you that's stupid, and you kind of go, but I'm going to fucking enjoy it while I'm doing it. And because I'm doing, the other thing is, because I'm doing the oils, the crude oil paintings at the moment, it's toxic. Yeah, exactly. It's toxic. I thought I'd do portraits of people in crude oil, and I did a portrait of James Dean, but crude oil on paper seeps into the paper and spreads. So over the year, so I did this in November, and he's now spread. And because I'm in lockdown, I can't see it. And when I do them on canvas, the paint slides off the canvas, which means I have to turn the canvas every day to drip the heads of the people that I've painted back into the canvas. The paint just slides off, and because I'm in lockdown, I can't see it. And because crude oil is toxic and carcinogenic, I can't work with it at home at the very time where the most toxic substance on the planet is in everybody's lives because of this pandemic. I can't actually use toxic material. It's kind of, there's something poetic about it and nonsensical, but I kind of like it. And at the same point, go on to the next slide. This is Greta when I get back to the studio to find her, she's gonna, because of this warm spell, because of the warmth of the climate, she'll probably have evaporated into thin air by the time I get back to the studio, because she's done in crude oil as well. So yes, there's an essence of ridiculousness but profundity in everything I fucking say, regardless of whether you agree or not. I don't fucking care. Anyway, welcome to my world. You're better off out of it. And on that note, I'll see what else I had written down. I don't know. I went off pissed there. Oh God, yes. Plenism or horror vacua, or as Aristotle put it, nature abhors a vacuum. So basically, this lockdown, everybody's gone, we're locked down. I feel fucking liberated. I feel absolutely fucking liberated. I've not done as much. I've been socially active. I've done a live gig, the first one in 20 fucking years. It's kind of, I feel like it's been a catapult for me, because I just think, yeah, I feel like I've been locked down by other people's inadequacies for 30 fucking years. So this is, hey guys, I'm out and I'm not going back in. So there you go. Take what you like from it. But yeah, I just think I'm having a good time. Where am I? Where are we now? Yeah, I think we're living in a vacuum. Oh yes, humans are biohazards, machines are not. Yes, I heard that today. Somebody said it today on the podcast. And I thought, wow, yeah, great. Now what? But yes, yeah, I just think it's all about perspective, and it's all about doing what the fuck you want to do, because it's all too short, this life thing. And if you don't, the only regrets you're going to have, the big fuck-ups would be if you don't do the things that you wanted to do. And then when you've done the things, there's somebody else's problems. All those paintings that I've done are no longer my problem because I've got them out of my head. They're your problem. I'm signing off now. Any questions, feel free to contact my keeper.
Is that the right details, Martin?
That's better than I would do.
Yeah.
I didn't include any. I didn't think anybody would want to know who I was.
No. Again, thank you, Martin.
I'm going off it. I'm sorry.
I have loads of questions to ask, but you know what I'm like. So I think the simplest thing is it one of those things at the moment where you're twice as happy, half as rich?
Oh, I think there's I think I'm twice as happy, and I think the percentages are
less than half.
Oh God, yes. I won't go on about it, but yeah. But if anybody enjoyed that, I don't even know if anybody's there. I can only see 3 of you. One of them's me.
There's
34
at the moment.
It's only 4 at the moment. But if anybody would care to donate to the Orbis Fund to keep the building going, that would be a great help. So yes, I hope that was of use to you guys. I don't have to go on, do I? No. Don't have to go on for somebody who says now.
No, but I think that's the thing from tonight. We've got thank you again to Natalie Joey, who sent us a message to say he's in bed now.
Is he?
But the fact is, I think all 3 of you have had a mix between a variety of careers and managing to visit different countries. I know the stories you've told in your past life when you've been in whatever country, and you've told whatever story that probably couldn't be repeated. But also, like at the last talk, when you had a situation when you basically refused to speak to somebody, do you never regret decisions like that, or just think that was in the moment?
I don't recall the incident you're on about, but
Andy Warhol? Andy Warhol?
Oh, that was. I think that was the example of a proper fuck up, which was basically when to qualify that thing. Basically, many years ago, 30 odd years ago, probably not quite so many years ago, but yeah, almost 30 years ago, we went to New York on a press trip, and Susan Blow, who was one of Andy Warhol's muses and was in one of the films and stuff like that, she was our press secretary while we were there, and she said to us when we got off the plane, "Hey guys, would you like to come on down and meet Andy tonight?" And we went, "You know what, we're just going to hit the bar." And you kind of think 30 years later, we should have gone down and met Andy Warhol. But we knew at the time that all he would ever say to us was, "Oh, hi, cool." And then that would be it. And you kind of just think to yourself, you know what? No, it's not worth it. But you kind of do think afterwards, it would have been good to have popped down and said hello, and then we could have been like everybody else who said, yeah, we met Andy. But, you know, I suspect that, yeah. So I don't think we did things like that much, but I think we tended not to do, we didn't do press. We didn't do as much press. We didn't do, I've got a list of things that we didn't do. I think I read them out the last time. But, so yeah, I mean, we were never knowingly, hold on, if I just read through it as it stands, I've got the cat back. Our policy was, we do what we do. If we like it, it's a success. I've said all that stuff. We did virtually no promotion, very little touring, refused to do press and PR, turned down TV shows. We were never knowingly social. We had no website, no Facebook, no Twitter, no YouTube channel, no Instagram, no Slack, no tweets, schedule, strategy. If we got bad press, we ignored it. We responded to nothing. We provided no business testimony, no business updates. We corrected no inaccuracies, provided no incentives, no SEO, no ROI, and no KPIs. That was our business model. Now, we succeeded, right? So that's where we were at. Now, that was fine in the pre-internet world. And I think that was my strategy for years, saying out, keep hid. But I think you then realize that you kind of, I realized I had to change. So about 2 years ago, when I first moved into the Orbis building, into the commercial union house, I spent a couple of weeks doing redoing the strategy. And over these weeks, I figured it down to 3-4 words, basically, which were say yes, like Alfie had said earlier, say yes, be seen. So that's my motto, say yes, be seen. And the minute I started to do that, things, like Alfie said, you started to get more and more people coming along to things. You've been getting invited to things. So I'm trying to keep that. I do understand that he's right. You spread yourself thin. But at the moment, I'm that old that I understand the processes and the problems of spreading yourself thin. So I do things because I want to do them and because I think that it'll be beneficial to me. But I think it helps me feel alive. I think at a certain age you start to feel invisible, especially when you're white from head to foot, and only the moths realize you're there. So yeah, I've started saying yes. So my strategy is say yes, be seen. If that's a business advice, yeah. But I think it ties in with what Alfie had said at the beginning. Oh, there's lots of questions there, but I can't actually see any of them. My eyes are so blanked out. Anyway.
There's a lot of love for you, Martin.
You sad bastards.
So Gretel says, I feel like we should start the Feliks Culpa fan club, people. We all love him.
Is Gretel there?
Yeah.
Hello, Gretel. How are you doing? Is she all right?
Yeah. So thanks from Natalie. Lady Kit says you're lush.
Lady Kit. Hello.
Mel and Lindsay said they love you.
Oh, thank you, girls.
You still got groupies?
Oh, hey. Just watch yourself.
Yeah. So there's a lot of love for you, Martin.
Oh, thank you very much.
So, again, thank you to Alfie, who's tucked up in bed. Thanks again to Natalie, and look forward to speaking again. Martin, I look forward to actually standing 6 foot away from you and having a coffee.
And spitting on me. I've learned to bake. I've made bread.
Well, I was going to make a religious thing there, but I won't.
I made Peter's mum's recipe for gingerbread as well, and it was fantastic.
Brilliant. So have you put on any weight during this time?
No,
I
walk about 5 or 6 miles a day. I'm on the town moor taking photographs every day because I have no paints or anything like that. So I've been taking photographs, and it's fantastic. I go around the town moor every day and talking to the cows and the crows. Some things hurt more than cows and crows. That's all I can say.
The new poem. No. So whoever's left, thank you for participating tonight. There should be a recording, which hopefully I'll put on YouTube. Tomorrow I will send out a newsletter with everyone's details. If if Martin's happy to get his guitar out, that's not a euphemism. Or if anybody wants to chat, that would be good. So,
has anybody got any questions? They're all fucking sick of me.
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
Where's Paul?
Yes, how do you feel about being a coronavirus meme?
Is that my hair?
No. Do you see the stay alert hot dog jumping frog?
Oh, hot dog jumping frog. I thought it's like having, bizarrely, right? My watch that is on there stopped at 11:10 the other day. 11:10 4 days ago, right? And because it doesn't work and I can't get a battery for it, I shouldn't really be wearing it, but I can't go out and not have a watch on. So I'm wearing a watch that doesn't work, but I know that twice a day it will be right. And that's how I feel about hot dog jumping frog Albuquerque as far as the government's advice is concerned, that twice in my lifetime I've been right. And that'll do me. Does that answer your question?
Kind of.
Yes. Any other questions? Good.
I'll break the silence. The toxic waste thing that you were talking about in your studio, and you've got two directors of the building now sending furious messages to each other.
Carcinogenic bastard.
So yeah, we'll have a discussion off camera about that.
Okay. Yeah. I think it's all right, providing you don't inhale it.
Oh God! Don't like nobody heard that on this chat. Everyone just pretend it never happened.
Listen, I saw Anthony Gormley using it the other night on Grayson's Art Club, and I thought, aye, it's all right for him in lockdown.
I think he's a Jarrow lad anyway, so we'll just ignore him. not a Durham person like yourself. I'm going to mute myself.
Does anyone have any musical requests for Martin?
Like, we'll pay you not to sing.
I don't know if David Nixon's on from the Fuckup Nights in Manchester. See, someone said don't sing, but is that the song from Swoon?
Swoon? Oh, I'd never know how to play that. What's that? You actually want some music? You don't really want music. Why spoil it?
That's the only reason why I'm here, Martin.
You really don't want anybody.
Oh, yeah. You've got your fan club here.
You don't really want me here. Oh, hell. It's all out of tune, guys. It was in tune when I bought it. Any requests? I've got, I can't actually read any of that. Don't sing. No, I can't do that one. Go on, Martin. No, excuse me, Martin. No. What was I going to say? Right, okay. My love and I, we work well together, but often we're apart. It's well out of tune. Absence makes the heart lose weight, till love breaks down. Oh my, have you seen the weather? The sweet September rain. Rain on me like no other. Until I drown, When love breaks down, the things you do to stop the truth from hurting you. When love breaks down, the lies you tell, they only serve to fool ourselves. When love breaks down, my love and I, we are boxing clay. She'll never crowd me out. Fall, be free as old confetti. Paint the town, paint the town. When love breaks down, things you do to stop the truth from hurting you. When love breaks down, the lies you tell, they only serve to fool ourselves. When love breaks down, you join the wrecks who will leave their hearts for easy sex. When love breaks down, guys,
More.
more. Now you sort of oh well, listen. This is for everybody who's there, because I mean I'll see if I can do it. I don't know whether anybody knows it, or is there many people online, Mark?
34, 35.
I've no time for religion, maybe doubt, some modern disease. Then I look at you, and here's what I'll do. I'll wear holes in both my knees. I pray that God protects you, and if he is busy elsewhere, may his legion speed in your hour of need and surround you till he's there. I pray that God protects you, God watch over you, every minute, every moment. God watch over you, every minute, every moment. God watch over, and if you fall, may he stretch out his arm and catch you, keep you from harm or sweep you into his palm. But God watch over you, God watch over you. I've warned your guardian angel not to let you out of his sight, or attempt to fly. If he sees you cry, he's to stand his ground and fight. I've warned your guardian angel, God watch over you, every minute, every moment. God watch over you, every minute, every moment. God watch over, and if you fall, may he stretch out his arm and catch you, keep you from harm or sweep you into his palm. God watch over you. God watch over you. Are you still there? I figured that, I thought at some point, I thought that JP had done that thing he was doing at the beginning where he'd taken memes of himself or photographs of pizzas and stuck them around everybody of you lot there, and you'd all gone to the pub instead, or were down in the car park of Commercial Union House.
Martin, you've been fantastic, honestly. Right. Really nice.
Guys, look after yourselves, right? And God bless you guys. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Martin. It's really nice.
Thanks, Martin. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, guys. God bless.
All right. You've just healed the world. I think I've heard that somewhere else, so I'm not sure.
I think everyone's in a nice, chilled out mood. Thank you very much, Martin.
Exactly. All right, guys. Listen, take care, and God bless.
No. Thanks again, Martin. Really appreciate it. So officially, that's the end if Martin's not going to play anymore. Because I did suggest Johnny to Johnny X.
All right. Seriously.
If Johnny X is still on.
He'll have gone.
I was waiting for Viva Las Vegas, but, you know, it's kind of, maybe that's...
Come on, Alfie with Johnny. When you come back to the building.
Caught in a trap. But can't get out.
There we go.
Because I love you too much, Johnny. Why can't you see?
See, unfortunately, what people don't realise is these two who are communicating right now normally get pissed in the studios.
Is he there? Oh, there he is. There he is. Hello, Johnny. He's there. He's lurking.
Yeah.
See, the thing about it's like my liver's gone from in brilliant state now. Since,
what?
My liver's fantastic because I had hardly anything to drink since I've not been hanging around you.
Oh, Pete's sake. I've been in training, so it's all been, you know, like, I'm ready for it when we get back.
All right.
I'm not just a drunk. I do other things.
I don't know the words. I'm going to have to get the words out. Hold on. Oh, where is it? Let's see. You would pick one that up. Oh, there you go. Okay. Right, I've got some words here, right? I'm going to stick them there. Oh, Johnny, Johnny, Johnny. There is a time for tears. Johnny, Johnny, Johnny. You won't make it any better. Johnny, Johnny, Johnny. You might just get worse. I can see Miranda there. Ooh, Johnny, Johnny, Johnny. I advise you to forget her. Ooh, Johnny, Johnny, you. You're not the first, though it hurts. Johnny, Johnny, you. What are you? 21. Ooh, Johnny, Johnny, Johnny. Why don't you give it a rest? Ooh, Johnny, Johnny, Johnny. The world is a million. There can be no contest. Ooh, Johnny, Johnny, you. Life's not complete till your heart's mistook, and you'll never make it up or turn back the clock. No, you won't. No, you won't. Johnny, Johnny, Johnny. Johnny, Johnny, Johnny. She is a person too. She has her own will. Ooh, Johnny, Johnny, Johnny. Why don't you join the foreign legion? Ooh, Johnny, Johnny, Johnny. You're still in love with Haley Mills. Ooh, Johnny, Johnny. Life's not complete till your heart's busted. And you never work it up. I'll turn back the clock. No, you won't. No, you won't. Johnny, Johnny. Johnny. Listen, guys, stop me now. You should what you should be doing is, right, you should be saying, I'll put money into that fund to stop you from playing. That's what you're doing. Stop me from playing. Just pay, because I can't sing to fucking save me life. But I don't care. It's like Sean Scully, the painter, when he was like talking about his art. He doesn't care, and people were really irritated by that, but I loved it. I just thought, fantastic. Yeah, don't fucking care. Just do what you want to do. Don't care. It's great. You get to a certain age and don't care, and it's all right. Anyway, go on.
That's the attitude.
Get you there. You're hidden in darkness, Johnny. I can't see you. You're hiding out somewhere.
I'm here. Yeah.
All right, guys, I'll let you go. Somebody fucking switch off. Somebody switch off. Just fucking turn me off.
You have to. You'll not stop. You'll not stop.
One for the road, Martin.
I haven't had a drink yet either.
Really?
No, I've just been.
Johnny's not with him, that's why.
Hey?
Johnny's not with you, that's why. That's it.
I'm at a certain age where I can't last this long if I'm drinking.
You have a slab of cheese hidden.
Sorry?
You have a slab of cheese hidden.
I don't know. No.
Martin, the only request I'm going to do, which I'll probably get asked, is that Jen's mum and dad's 30th wedding anniversary yesterday.
Right.
So, and I'm in the bad books, because when you were talking about baking bread with things like this.
You were meant to break bread for them. But you
Yeah,
didn't.
I didn't. So, yeah, I pissed them off. So, anyway, please, if you could do one for the road in honour of Jen's mum and dad's 30th wedding anniversary. So then I'm not going to get eaten up with COVID.
You see, the thing is, we write. The minute I think of playing you something, I just think, God, they're all depressing. You'll not want one. I remember that. Oh God, I'm just trying to think. I don't know the lyrics. I'm stuck.
I'll Google them.
Antiques. Every other sentiment, an antique. As obsolete as warships on the Baltic. I don't know the chords. On a street road, it never alters. And radio serves, but doesn't fall. Prefer infrared instead of sun. Bubble gum. you practice this. That's the one, right? No, it's all gone. It's all gone. I lost it 30 years ago. I've been busking ever since. Or basking. I don't know which. You give me Faringham for in the morning. Right, that's it. One for the road. You shouldn't have.
Fantastic.
I should have started. I should have put him over head, Johnny. Johnny, learn from this.
Yeah.
You're ahead.
Yeah, that's just what I was going to say. I kind of, you know, there's so much you can learn from Martin, and he's an absolute inspiration.
Events like quit, knowing when to stop.
I think now's the time for
Martin.
Martin,
Knowing when to start.
before you start getting all fettled up to know what it's like trying to get you out the bloody building.
But this is just the beginning.
I think now's the time that Lindsay should actually say a thing about the floor. Oh, sorry, is that on your phone there, Lindsay, while Martin's playing this song?
Where's Lindsay?
Yeah, that's right. Put your bloody phone down. Oh, sorry about that, Lindsay. I didn't really see you there.
Sorry.
I'll just mute myself.
Is Lindsay with Mel?
Sorry. Yeah.
Hello.
Hiding like creeps in the yard. I forgot I was on.
How's it going in there?
All right.
Good, yeah.
Not too bad. We thoroughly enjoyed your talk and your songs.
You listen. Stop with the bullshit.
That's so good.
Is that tenants extra?
Yes, I think so, Paul.
You did really well to get through to the end.
Well, enjoyed it anyway.
Right.
So I think that officially brings the evening to an end. So thank you, Martin. As I said, I know Alfie's in bed, and thanks to Natalie, I know she's headed off. So again, thank you everyone, and hopefully see you again. It was the first online one, so if it was good enough, hopefully I'll do another one next month. So I'll book you again, Martin.
What halftime songs?
Was that one final song?
No, I said Martin comes back just to do the halftime songs next month in between the speakers.
I think he's too young for that. He's got a lot of age to grow. Do you know what I mean? He's only about 23 or 24. He hasn't even finished university yet.
Talking of age, about 20 years ago, I started telling myself I was 28. So that, and it helped me walk through car parks. I remember it was an actual thing. I got out of the car and I was aching. I was about 45, and I went, I'm 28, and all of a sudden I straightened up and I started to swagger like Noel Gallagher through the car park, and it's great. Been doing it ever since.
Love it.
I'm going to give you the full power, Mark, because I think once him and Johnny start doing this, I've got no responsibility now. So I own you legally.
I wished I was in Johnny's little box of darkness just beneath me.
I'm staying out of this.
So what are you drinking, Johnny?
Yeah, I didn't quite bring enough with me, but it was kind of, I had enough just to get through Martin's set, and I don't know, and the dry roasted peanuts have gone now, so it's kind of, yeah, the evening is winding up, and we need to go out now to the club.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Is Miranda all right over there?
Hi, Martin. You all right?
I'm very well, Miranda. Thank you. There's an awful lot of people on here that I'm neighbours to.
Oh, okay.
And yes, so there.
Let's say you know them all.
So I kind of.
Are they like literally next door neighbours, or?
They're sort of within the building where we live and we breathe.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Breathe or drink. I don't know what we create.
I think he means people that he can't avoid.
Can't avoid. If I've got something, they've all had it.
You're a super spreader then, Martin.
don't encourage me. Right, guys. I'm gonna bid you all farewell and go get myself enough alcohol to sedate me.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For your talk.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank
you.
And your songs.
Bye.
Thank you all again, and hopefully see you again.
Thanks for organising, Mark. Cheers.
No, thank you, Paul.
Yeah, so Mark, thank you so much for doing this. And to be honest, I think it's lovely. I mean, it's certainly been a highlight for the last 2 months I've been in here, and I can honestly understand that everybody else will have their own thing. But let's see when this lockdown's over, or we're at some form of normality, that we can all kind of get together and help each other, especially in the north, kind of just kind of explore new ideas, new connections and things like this, and forge new alliances to kind of make the north amazing what it is. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I know that I'm incredibly interested in, and I know with Paul, the new partner of kind of late shows and things, you know, it's such a shame that late shows didn't happen. You know, there's loads of things and stuff like this, but let's kind of all connect and kind of support each other and kind of build up a north community that like everyone can kind of support each other. We've got all the talent here, we just need to connect all the dots. So thank you, Mark, for taking the time to do this, really, to be honest.
No, but as you said, that's the whole thing. I think that was the topic of some of the talks about everything seems to be transactional, and it's nice when people aren't transactional and they just do it to help other people, which generally the building does, but it's probably not recognized for what it actually does. But then, like, say you've got people like Alfie saying, go and speak to him and be on his show, then at least you can shout about what the building or the inhabitants of the building do for the community.
Yeah. So well done, Mark. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No.
Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Yeah. Have a good night. Go and top your glasses up. Or a Mark.
You just emptied mine, so I'm gonna have to top up.
See, we had a secret supplier under the table all this time.
I need to get a bigger glass. It's pathetic, isn't it?
What I've got is one of those bag boxes from Brinkburn. So I just put my the glass in the fridge and tip it. I'll quickly show you.
Quick, let's end the meeting.
There we go. That's my mini beer.
Oh my god!
Nice. Very nice.
Bag and box.
Oh,
So
yes, put me up.
It does work wonders.
Well, we've had performed. We've had a bit solitude.
It's the closer you get to a pub experience. So during these times.
Right. Cheers, everyone.
No, I'm going to sign off too, and it was nice to catch up with everyone and
good seeing you.
Social as well. And thank you, Martin, for
take care, everyone.
For indulging.
See you tomorrow, Paul.
Thanks for indulging me.
Bye.
Good night, all.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.